Okay, so this is the Gemara, Daf Yomi. We're in Avodah Zarah, Daf 58. So it says, Rav Huna, son of Rav Nachman, happened to come to Mechoza. Rava said to his attendant, Rav Eliakim, close the gates, so that the people who might disturb us should not come, and we may focus on clarifying the matter. So Rav Huna, son of Rav Nachman, entered into Rava's presence. Rav Huna, son of Rav Nachman, said to Rava, what is the halacha in a case like this where a Gentile stirred the wine without it intending to offer it as an idolatrous libation? So Rava said to Rav Huna, son of Rav Nachman, it is prohibited even to derive benefit from it. So Rav Huna, son of Rav Nachman, asked him, but wasn't it you, master, who said, if a Gentile stirs the wine, he does not thereby render it wine used for a libation, as Rava permitted the sale of the wine in the barrel to Gentiles? So Rava answered, say that I said that it is permitted to sell the wine that was in the barrel and benefit from all the proceeds, except for the monetary value of that prohibited wine that was poured into the barrel of wine. So did I say that it is permitted to derive benefit from the monetary value of that prohibited wine? So Rava said, when I arrived at Pumbedita, Nachmani, that is Abaye, surrounded us with Amoraic traditions and with Tanaic sources cited in a Braita that indicate that in the case of wine that was stirred by a Gentile, it is prohibited even to derive benefit from the wine. So Rava explains, Abaye cited Amoraic traditions as there was a certain incident in the Avodah in which the Gentile stirred the wine and Shmuel deemed the wine prohibited. And there was a similar incident in Tiberias and Rabbi Yochanan deemed the wine prohibited. So Rava recounts this reply, and I said to Abaye, Shmuel and Rabbi Yochanan deemed the wine prohibited only because the people in those towns were not people well versed in Torah, and it was necessary to distance them from transgression. And Abaye said to me, are you saying that the people of Tiberias and the Avodah are not people well versed in Torah, whereas the people of Mechoza are people well versed in Torah? This is obviously not the case, and therefore you should not have permitted the sale of the wine in Mechoza, even according to your reasoning. Abaye cited a Braita that teaches as follows. In the case of a Gentile market inspector who was in charge of measures and prices in the marketplace, who drilled a hole in a barrel with a tube and drew wine from the barrel through the tube in order to taste it, or who tasted the wine from the cup that was poured for him and then returned the residue to the barrel. What is the halacha? This was an incident that occurred, and the sages prohibited the wine. So Abaye said, what does this mean? Is the Braita not prohibiting one from deriving benefit from the wine? Rava replied, no, it is prohibiting one from only drinking from it. Abaye said, if so, let the Braita teach that the wine may be sold, as the latter clause of the Braita teaches, in the case of a Gentile confiscator who extended his hand into a barrel of wine, thinking that it was full of oil, and it was found to be a barrel of wine. What is the halacha? This was an incident that occurred, and the sages said it may be sold, as the Gentile had no intention of touching wine. The Gemara concludes, the refutation of the opinion of Rava is indeed a conclusive refutation. So the Gemara relates, Rabbi Yochanan ben Arza and Rabbi Yoshi ben Horai were sitting and drinking wine. A certain man came, and they said to him, come, serve us drinks. After he poured the wine into the cup, it was revealed that the person was a Gentile. One of the sages prohibited one from even deriving benefit from the wine, and one of them permitted the wine even for drinking. So Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi said, one who prohibited the wine properly deemed it prohibited, and the one who permitted it properly deemed it permitted, as both opinions are viable. The one who prohibited the wine holds that the Gentile says to himself, can it enter your mind that the great sages like these are drinking liquor, or rather, this is certainly wine that they are drinking, and therefore the Gentile may have poured it as a libation. So Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi continues to explain that the one who deemed the wine permitted properly deemed it permitted, as he holds that the Gentile says to himself, can it enter your mind that great rabbis like these are drinking wine, and they say to me, a Gentile, come, serve us drinks? Rather, it is certainly liquor that they are drinking, and therefore he did not pour it as libation. The Gemara asks, but doesn't the Gentile see whether it is wine or liquor? The Gemara answers, the incident occurred at night. The Gemara asks, but doesn't the Gentile smell it and recognize that it is wine? The Gemara answers, this incident occurred with new wine whose smell does not diffuse. So the Gemara asks, but didn't the Gentile touch the wine when he drew the wine in the pail, and therefore it is a case of a Gentile's unintentional touch which renders the wine prohibited? The Gemara replies, no, it was necessary to teach this halacha because the Gentile was pouring from one vessel to another without touching the wine, and therefore it was a case where the wine was poured by the force of the Gentile's action without any intention of offering it as a libation. In any case, where the wine is poured by force of a Gentile's action without any intention of offering it as a libation, the sages did not issue a decree prohibiting the wine, and it is permitted to drink it. So Rabbi Asi asked Rabbi Yochanan, with regard to wine that a Gentile mixed in water, what is the halacha? So Rabbi Yochanan said to Rabbi Asi, and why not say wine that a Gentile diluted with water, as that is the term that is usually used? So Rabbi Asi said to Rabbi Yochanan, I say wine that was mixed, as it is written, she has prepared her meat, she has mixed her wine. Proverbs 9:2. So Rabbi Yochanan said to Rabbi Asi, well, it is true that this is the language of the Bible. The language of the Torah is a language in itself, and the language of the sages is a language in itself. That is, the terminology of the Bible is not the same as the terminology employed by the sages. So Rabbi Asi repeated his question, what is the halacha? So Rabbi Yochanan said to Rabbi Asi, although the Gentile did not touch the wine when diluting it, it is prohibited by rabbinic decree due to the maxim, go, go, we say to a Nazarite, who is prohibited from drinking wine and eating grapes. Go around and go around, but do not come near the vineyard. Although a Nazarite is prohibited only from eating produce of the vine, he is warned not even to come into the proximity of a vineyard as a protective measure to ensure that he will not transgress this prohibition. So too, in many cases, the sages decreed certain items and actions to be prohibited because they understood that if people would use them, they would eventually transgress Torah prohibitions. So Rabbi Yirmiyah happened to come to Sabta. He saw wine that a Gentile diluted with water, and then a Jew drank from it. And Rabbi Yirmiyah then deemed the wine prohibited to them due to the maxim, go, go, we say to a Nazarite, go around and go around, but do not come near the vineyard. It was also stated, Rabbi Yochanan says, and some say that Rabbi Asi says, that Rabbi Yochanan says, wine that a Gentile diluted is prohibited due to the maxim, go, go, we say to a Nazarite, go around and go around, but do not come near the vineyard. So Reish Lakish happened to come to Bozrah, a town east of the Jordan. He saw Jews who were eating untithed produce and deemed the produce prohibited to them. He also saw water to which Gentiles bowed down, and yet Jews drank the water, and he deemed the water prohibited to them. So Reish Lakish came before Rabbi Yochanan and told him about the incident. So Rabbi Yochanan said to Reish Lakish, while your coat is still on you, go and retract your rulings. This is because the town of Bezer, which is mentioned among the cities of refuge, Deuteronomy 4:43, is not the same as Bozrah. So Bozrah is not a part of Eretz Israel, and one is not obligated to separate tithes from its produce. The water is also permitted, as it is water that belongs to the public, and water that belongs to the public is not rendered prohibited. The Gemara notes that Rabbi Yochanan conforms to this standard line of reasoning. That is the end of Daf 58.